My name is Nick. We're here with American Death Cult, the surf punk garage rock band straight out of Greensboro, North Carolina.
Yes, sir.
Now, the question
Bring it
everyone's
out.
dying to know, what is American Death Cult?
It's an organization we put together to poison the youth of America and the
I think that
world.
sums it up pretty good.
All right, I think the interview's over. I'll see y'all.
All right,
All
that's
right.
all we needed to hear,
Back in
guys.
there.
All right, my name's Nick. This has been Boonecast, guys. So, I've seen a lot of this like horror imagery within your show posters mainly, and for some covers for some singles and music you've put out so far as well. How does that kind of like tie into the overarching themes or like idea of American Death Cult? I mean, where does that inspiration come from?
That's a good question. The horror imagery that kind of comes from me, I guess, because I'm the one that makes most of the flyers. I'm the one that makes most of the Instagram posts, all that jazz. But I mean, Carter and the Marion, they do contribute too. They send me images and ask, "Hey, what if we use this image, or what if we use that image?" Our single image of the JFK Halloween picture for So Drained and me and my friends, that was Carter's idea, not mine.
Yeah, I thought it was, I love JFK. He was a big musical inspiration to me, at least I know.
You gotta
So,
give credit where credit's due.
He was
That's
one of the
what
most
I'm
saying.
saying.
iconic
Yeah.
presidents of all time.
no, I do actually like JFK though. But anyway, the point is that it looks spooky and I liked it. That's about it.
But the horror imagery and like some of the song titles and all that, that comes mainly from just me and my hobbies. Growing up, I was like, I want to be a filmmaker. I want to direct indie movies, horror movies, B movies essentially. But film school costs a lot of money and time. Music is cheap and easy, and I like it cheap and easy.
So now, we got some big announcements coming up. We got a big date on our plan, don't we?
We have a
Yes, we
couple.
do.
October 31st, Halloween Day.
Halloween Day.
What's coming out? What's happening?
I'm
Halloween
fucking
Day.
out.
Oh,
What's coming out? Skinwalker comes out
Our sex
October
tape?
31st. Comes out Halloween. What is Skinwalker?
In Native American terms, and of the Navajo people, I'm not from that. I'm not Navajo, or I'm not speaking on behalf of them. I just want to clarify
Yeah,
that.
he's not the representation for Native Americans. I know it's hard to believe, but he's not.
You had me for a second there.
But in their in the translation of it, my bad. It's basically like a witch doctor that can transform into any animal, but most of the times like coyote or a wolf, and they just bring nothing but death and destruction. And the term is specifically used for non-healers. So, and when I was writing this album or these songs, a lot of them are about healing and that process for me, because I've almost died. While writing this album, I almost stuff happened, stuff went down, and just typical life stuff, but also some big stuff that changed how I write and how I view everything pretty much. So I just thought it'd be a little ironic to title it after that, because skinwalkers don't heal. Those albums are supposed to heal.
That's cool. That's cool. So what could we expect from Skinwalker here? I mean, what kind of sounds are we putting out now?
I'm gonna let my main drum machine, the Marion, answer this one.
all right. For the sound of Skinwalker, in my opinion, I can't speak for the rest of the guys, but in my opinion, it's like this heavy. It's like this heavy pounding in your ear, but at the same time, it's like this weight being lifted. It's like heavy and light in this at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just speaking sound wise. Now, as of how everything is delivered, you can hear the energy we put into it. We put everything we had into this. You can hear the energy. I mean, shit, you can hear some of my mess ups personally. And like even then, it just adds to the character. Like you definitely get character out of this album.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a
what
really
makes it.
creative
That's what
way
adds
to
that
really
charm
fuck
to
it
it.
up.
Yeah. So that's the sound of this album. It's an introduction of sorts.
Very exciting for everybody involved. I mean, you guys, the fans, me. So I know at the beginning of the month, this was pre-recorded on September 22nd, 2022.
Whoop, whoop.
At the beginning of this month here, September, you played in Boone, of all
We did.
places.
Did.
Yeah. Tell me about how'd that go. I mean, how was your experience up here? Did we treat you well, or what's up?
Oh, it was great.
Uh,
It was fantastic.
I
It was. I can't. We played at Lily's Snack Bar. If you guys know where that is, I can't say anything but good things about them. They were fantastic. They treated us right. They staff there is great. All the fans were great. Nothing but good things to say about them. And then, of course, we put on a good show and we were able to perform and everything was really good. So I'm really pleased with what we did there.
Hell yeah.
Shout out to Trailhead. Shout out to Deep Pocket. Our homies at Deep Pocket. They put on. I'm gonna be honest with you. We were a little intimidated at first because they put on some really good sets.
I was terrified.
Yeah. There's some cool cats up here, man.
Yeah,
100%. There's
they were
some
swinging.
awesome musicians up here.
It was, like we played outside of Greensboro, but we never went that far outside of our comfort zone.
Yeah, first like big expedition from
Yeah.
home, I guess. Yeah.
And the road wasn't that bad.
Sky was pretty.
The views are amazing. We didn't have any like technical difficulties on the way to or fro.
Yeah, the drive there was definitely worse than the drive back. I just think the drive back was smoother and the overall driving, like I don't know who was driving on the way back, but he must have been really just a really good driver, especially in comparison to the person who drove there.
Man, I mean, shout out to the guy that drove on the way back. Seriously,
Yeah.
was
Like
the
Amen.
best driver in the van.
I think being on the road, like with the guys, is just like a bonding moment for us, you know. Like we talk about our lives, you know.
Growing
And,
up.
Definitely where we hope to go in the future plans, you know.
Yeah. Speaking of, I mean, do you have any super big future plans right now? Any like long-term goals? I know you got Skinwalker coming up. But, I mean, anything past that? That's kind of far, right?
Yeah, long-term goals for the band. We do want to. I hate to say it, but like, we do want to evolve our sound. I know that's what every band wants to do, but after Skinwalker's out, we're gonna listen and break down what could be fixed and what could we do better, and we're gonna try to improve on that. I have some stuff written for LP2 already. Some of it, I'm gonna use. Some of it I've got to let them decide because this is gonna be more of a group process. A little more cooks in the kitchen. But we want to, step our game up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, hey, well, you fight that beast when you get to it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got, Skinwalker coming out. It's a pretty big goal. I think you can pat yourself on the back for that one for a little while, for sure.
We recorded it with Julian from Sweet Dream. Great guy, great little studio, reasonable prices for everything. He let us borrow anything we needed, and he was just like, at first it was hard to get a read on him as a person, because coming in, he was almost he was more than a stranger, but wasn't a friend yet.
Yeah.
But after a session or two, we were like, yeah, this is the guy. It's at first, you make assumptions about people, and I was like, okay, he's into all this artsy stuff. He's into 60 psychedelia music.
He's not be so pretentious. He's gonna
Yeah.
chew us up and spit us out,
Yeah,
right?
he's gonna hate this, but then he's he walks over to me. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna make you guys sound like the OCs on their new album. I was like, oh, okay.
He knows what's up. He knows what's
Yeah.
up.
And not only that, but in somebody I've been lucky enough to play at just recording at home with your computer, but I've also been on the other end where I'm at a real studio with a big board. And I think his recording place is a good mix of that. It's cozy, but it also has everything you need, very professional. So like I said, I think it's a really good mix of coziness, but also some real good quality stuff, some real professionalism there.
Yeah.
Like to touch on what Ethan said, like Julian warming up to us, like, you know, when we first got there, he was like, I mean, it's your album, you do it how you want. And then like towards like the last 2 or 3 sessions, he was putting in input. He was like, oh, this would sound really good if it like did this. Like he helped us out a lot. Great bud during the recording process.
During on the last song, Skinwalker, the self-titled song, I was having some difficulties playing it for a little bit. I think it was like there's the pressure of like getting it all done in time, and being perfect. That kind of got to my head, and I was like, yeah, let's just cut this one part out, like this bridge. Let's just make it first chorus, and then end it. He's like, no, you need the bridge. You need that bridge there to spice it up. And I'm like, okay. And so we played it and we ran through it, and the bridge just like helped so much, and it added like a little bit more spice to it. Because I think every band, when they go to like a new producer, they're worried that they're gonna mess with my vision, man. I had this board right here, and they're gonna throw it out and toss it down the stairs. But he wasn't like that at all. He was like, he gave input when he felt like it was needed. He helped, like, remind us, like, little stuff like, hey, tune up. Because we're not going to talk about this. We tried to avoid the negative stuff, but we went to a studio one time and did pretty much everything live, and it turned out not to be what we wanted at the end of the day. And then we were like worried about that happening again a little bit, and it turned out perfectly fine. It turned out to be what we wanted.
It's awesome. Good to hear. High hopes, of course. Very high hopes of this album coming out here soon.
I hope so.
Now, bring it a little bit back. When are you guys coming back to Boone? Speaking of,
not soon enough.
Because I would like to see you guys. Yeah.
Not soon enough. Right now we're focusing on the album. Putting some final touches on it, mixing it, mastering it, putting some little samples in there here and there from like some movies and whatnot.
Sprinkle a little magic on it.
Yeah, some last minute additions.
I mean, there are plenty of places up here that I'm sure would love to have you. Already stuck your foot in the door a little bit.
We are talking about where we want to play next, because I feel like after this album is released, people have like more of an idea of what we sound like, so that'll help us open more doors. And we want to go to Boone. We're going to Fayetteville at the end of the month. We're going to Greensboro. Well, we're not really going to Greensboro because we're in Greensboro.
Always at Greensboro.
You can't bring tables to the table, But we're going to Fayetteville. We're going to go Boone again. We want to go to we won't go outside the state. We're across.
Yeah.
We want to go to Nashville at one point. We were set to go to West Virginia for a show, and instead we went to Boone. And I'm kind of glad we did that because the drive back.
Yeah.
Very glad.
Yeah.
Very glad. We met some really cool people in Boone.
Yeah, we met really cool people.
They're all amazing.
It was, it was a really good night. We turned some heads. We saw some kids dancing. We saw, all the stuff that a band wants to see when they're in a new area.
I mean, I think it's a pretty good crowd up here. I mean, you'll get different opinions from different folks, I guess. But I think there's pretty cool lump sum of people up here for sure.
Crowd response is crazy.
We got like a pretty good variety of people too. It's like when we first entered the door, it was like, okay, these are like college town. You don't know what to expect. You're in the mountains, so we saw like some guys like because one of the bands, Deep Pocket, they're like a bluesy band. So there's like people dressed up in like bluesy attire, or like kind of southern rock style. And then the second band, Trailhead, they're more indie pop. I don't want to like classify them as that and be wrong, but that's what they were to me. I guess at that time period. I don't know if they've changed or whatever, but I was like, okay, like this is a good crowd, nice variety. And then at the end of the show, like two guys walked up to me and were like, dude, you got the only two servers in Boone, bro.
That's true. That you guys are definitely something we don't have up here right now.
Yeah.
So, maybe I'm not aware of something, but I haven't seen or heard anything quite like you guys yet.
Yeah, it's surf's a weird genre, especially being like a surf punk band. But we're talking about like what directions we want to go in, and we're thinking we're more on the punk side of things. But
Yeah, no shame in changing, at all. Seriously.
We're gonna keep some of the surf elements for sure because we want to incorporate more surf into like the drumming and guitar solos.
Yeah, stick to the roots. Stick to your roots. Seriously. Now let's kind of take it back to your hometown, I guess.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about your experience playing in Greensboro. Greensboro. Tell me a little bit more about your experience playing in Greensboro.
Okay.
What kind of venues you like to play at? Any other acts that you guys have played with before? Anyone else you really like?
Sunshine's Moonlight, play with them. They're from Burlington.
Yeah.
Great guys, because now there's more than one of them. We play at this place called Common Grounds all the time. We played there like twice. We played at Green Bean once. That was nice. That was like our first like show as American Death Cult, I think. We played with the Eclipses, Catcher. We got a lot of bands in store for Haul It Out.
Yeah, for
we
sure.
We got to talk about that in a second.
Big booming scene down there too. I mean, just like up here, it's going crazy right now.
Yeah, it's
a lot of different shows at every face. A lot of different faces every show.
A lot of you gotta try to catch a wide net, I guess. So you can't just say, yeah, we only want to play with this type of band. And that's what, like, when I first got into like my local scene, I was like, okay, so there's like some emo bands, like there was Stomach Bug, Joe, big friend of mine. I played my first show with him. Him and his sister, Stomach Bug, great band. Subtle Plug. And then as like I got more involved in the scene, I was like, okay, I don't want to just like play with just like what I like. I gotta think about what the audience likes at the end of the day, because it is about us, but it's also about them a little bit. So I was like, okay, well, if they don't like me, I hope they like Sludge. So I put on Cheap Speed. I let them play at my house. I let Monkey Mode play at my house. This was like a year or so ago, and till now, some of these bands are still, around. Some of them aren't. Some of them are still playing with me, because as like time goes on, you become friends with these people, and you want to see them around. You want to
create your own little circle, your little community going on.
If one of them does good, then that means you're gonna do good.
Right? Yeah. Their show's got a good turnout. If you're there with them, it's gonna be pretty good too.
Oh yeah. And Cheap Speed, Zach, nicest guys I had ever chance to work with. Every time I see them play, they get better and better. They get heavier and heavier too. My God.
Always a good thing to hear.
Just and you want to keep the positivity going, especially because you just want to be around positive people, and people like those
100%.
are nothing but like positive balls of energy.
So I don't really know when this video is going to come out per se, but where can we expect to see American Death Cult next? Whether it be here in Boone or somewhere around Greensboro, that neck of the woods.
Well,
probably prison.
We're gonna do a prison album like Johnny Cash did, except worse. Uh,
So you got a little Q&A post on your Instagram that I borrowed some questions from your lovely fans.
oh,
So let me read a couple. I got my little notepad right here. Do you think being from Greensboro influences your sound at all? Or if not if it's not your hometown, what kind of influences how you guys play and perceive the whole scene and stuff?
Well, to touch on the Greensboro subject, when I moved to Greensboro, I was in 7th grade, and like my second day of school, my school started doing this jazz band kind of thing. So I joined, and that's where I started playing jazz. And I incorporate like the fundamentals of jazz into my playing a lot, like
Yeah,
improvising.
those are
Like nothing I play is ever the same twice.
big parallels between like jazz and that like surf punk kind of mentality for sure.
Oh yeah. And like just influences in general, I guess. Like, you can hear it on the album like quite a lot. Like I love me some Dave Grohl. So
Yeah.
Dave and Taylor, big influences for me. That's all I got.
Greensboro to me and my style, like what music I like, Greensboro is like a little bit of why I like what I like. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
That sentence was kind of weirdly worded, but I was at, I think if I remember this right, it was like 3 years ago. I was at a place called Bargain Box in downtown Greensboro with my mom, and we were just like looking around for clothes, and I found this record by a band called Ubangi Stomp called Riding Sock Hop from Hell. I think that's what it's called. I know that's a Cramp song, but it was red. It had like 4 songs on it. It was like their EP. And I had to get it because I had Creature of Black Lagoon was on the cover and King Kong, and it was like a drive-in.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta get this. And it was only like $3, so of course.
I can see the influences coming together now. I can see it all molding and melting.
I put it on the record player, and instantly I was like, "Oh yeah!" My eyes widened, like it was like in a movie, pretty much. Like my head was up, I was snapping and rolling, and all that stuff. And then I was like, okay, so where's this guy from? I tried looking him up. I couldn't find anything. So I was like, okay, is there a record label? Because, vinyl's expensive. You have someone backing it. It was Chameleon Records. And I looked them up, and they're based in Greensboro.
No way.
And I never knew about it until, I was like, Greensboro doesn't have any local music. And then that was my introduction to it. And I, put a break on that because I had other interests at the time. Excuse me. And then I got back into it. And then I noticed, I watched a video about, Greensboro in the 90s. They had, a bigger punk scene or whatever. And I was like, dang, man, I want a piece of that action.
Yeah, I wish there was something like that here.
Yeah.
And then, what do you go out and do? You do it yourself. You do it yourself,
man.
We made this shit.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't make
Yeah.
it, but
The only band to ever make music.
I think for me personally, as far as how Greensboro influenced me musically, I don't know that if I have a huge influence from Greensboro in terms of my style of play or in terms of, what kind of music I'm into. I feel like more or less I would, I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like more or less that's kind of outside of where I live. But in terms of, how I approach music in the sense of other people, in the sense of all that, I think that for me, it really, because Greensboro has a good amount of musicians, don't get me wrong, but it's not huge, I feel like, and to be fair, I've been involved in music in Greensboro for probably the past 5 years, but I feel like I almost know everybody at this point. So I think
that really makes it feels more important to me. I want to look out for other musicians who are good, and I really want to I really want to look out for other people in terms of the other musicians and the other bands, and I want to make sure, if one of us is doing good, everybody's doing good.
Yeah, yeah.
And it really, it's one of those things that I feel like it's not only a punk scene thing or a whatever scene thing. I think that musicians cross genre in a community, especially the size of Greensboro, really need to look out for each other and really try to promote each other and do good things. And I think as a band, as far as our social media presence or whatever you want to call it, I think we've done an okay job at that, and I'm really pleased with that.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. It sounds like home,
Yeah.
It sounds like a really, comfortable place to be, happy place to be. At the end of the day, you're just a bunch of friends playing music together, right?
Loosely.
Yeah.
That's what it all boils down to, seriously.
We had that conversation actually, like within like the first I don't know, what was it, when we first started the album process. We were like, well, where do we want to go from this? And we were like, as long as we're having fun and we're doing what we like, no matter how this, I guess, portrays in the media, we're gonna keep doing it as long as we're having fun,
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah,
one
and
of the fun parts,
luckily
seriously.
luckily we found Mario, but prior to that, me and Ethan had God knows how many drummers, so I think that, I think if I really hated American Death Cult at this point, enough shit has happened to where I wouldn't be in it anymore. So, I do care about us as a band and the relationship that we have with each other.
All good. Word up, man.
Word up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any closing statements for the first and hopefully not the last American Death Cult interview?
Hollowed Out, October 29th, etc. Greensboro. We got stacked lineup. We're talking Housewife, talking Cheap Speed.
It'll be somewhere. It'll be somewhere, maybe over here. Maybe I'll put it in this corner.
Talking Us. Shotgun is going to be there. Consequences of Your Own Actions. I think I'm forgetting somebody somewhere.
There's going to be a lot of people. Come on down and find out.
There's a lot. I've seen it. It's a pretty big list. It's a pretty big ordeal going on for sure.
Stacked.
It's going to be costume parties. It's going to be fun. And Fayetteville, the day before October 28th, we're playing with Shotgun, Car Crash Pool Party, and Spider Bucket.
All right.
At a skate park.
I'm sure we got plenty of information about all those on Instagram at American Death Cult Band.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And I'm sure you might
You
see
know
a
it.
bit of that on at Boonecast as well. Thank you so much, American Death Cult, for letting me have you, I guess, in my room.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Will.
My name is My name is
Your
Nick.
name is
My name is
Nick.
What?
Check out the Slim Shady.
Signing off, baby.
My name's Nick, and this has been Boonecast with American Death Cult. Out. Or something. That was stupid. I'll cut that. That was awesome.
Didn't we agree to King trying to play in Atlantis?
No, we didn't, because Atlantis isn't fucking real.
Leave
Hey,
me alone.
hey,
Let me
hey.
believe.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
You don't know shit.
Yeah, has it been disproven entirely? I don't really know if you can say that. I mean, how do you know? We've only looked at
They
how much
haven't
of the
searched
ocean.
every depth of the ocean. We know more about space than we do the ocean, which is
There is so
weird to
much
think
more
about.
ocean right now. I mean, how big could Atlantis possibly be, right? When you think about it, how big could it be? We could just wash right over it. But when we do find Atlantis, we will see you guys there.
We don't have the technology
yeah.
For sure.
water yet.
Hell yeah.
And well, by the time we find it, I'm sure we'll have that figured out.
Okay.